2 more days. Yep, as the trash is finally going to be taken out, and it's also taking itself out. As we got this latest footage from the Department of Alleged Justice of Attorney General Merrick Garland departing for the last time from the department, as we just got some explosive new details from the New York Post about how the corrupted DOJ was actually offering Jeffrey Epstein a plea deal in order to implicate Donald Trump. Yes, you heard that correctly, as of course, that's not the first time that they actually did this, as one of Jeffrey Epstein's very close buddies and pals now is also trying to get very close to Donald Trump, as he reports a very intimate, important dinner that he just had with him, as of course, what are the larger implications here, as there are also reports of this guy working behind the scenes in order to prevent the larger kind of Epstein client list disclosure, which Donald Trump actually promised that he would deliver as president of the United States. And with this latest bombshell revelation from the New York Post, I think it's more important than ever for him to actually do this in order to unwind this larger intelligence agency extortion operation that has had a grip of control, not only on Hollywood, not only on the entertainment industry, but of course, all the high-level politicians in Washington, D.C. that, of course, went over to that private island. As this right here is a major frickin' big deal, as this guy right here in the top right hand of your corner, former Epstein cellmate Nicholas Tartugolin, a former police officer who was convicted and sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in federal prison, was put in a cell with Jeffrey Epstein. As this is the same guy that Epstein's lawyers were telling people was the person roughing up Epstein, that allegedly also left him unconscious in his cell. As if you remember to the official story of events here, Epstein allegedly tried to take his life not just once, but twice. Once he failed, of course, as no one really believed that particular story as well, as his cellmate now is coming out and saying that federal prosecutors from the Department of Justice pressured Epstein to provide fake allegations against Trump in exchange for a plea deal that would have helped this man potentially get out of jail. And again, Epstein had all the relations here with Trump previously beforehand, and he could have easily fabricated. He could have easily lied. But according to this cellmate, Epstein admitted that he didn't know anything about Trump and was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago for inappropriate behavior towards young women. A story that, of course, we confirmed with Don Jr. when myself and Josie, the redheaded libertarian, asked him a question about this on the Timcast IRL podcast show. As legal experts are now confirming, saying that this tactic actually sounds plausible, as, of course, the feds were trying to implicate Trump with many specific cases, as, of course, even Proud Boy leader Enrique Tarrio came out and specifically detailed how the feds tried to offer him a lenient sentence if he would lie and indict Trump for the J6, quote, insurrection. This all specifically being done by the DOJ that attempted to coerce him to falsely implicate Donald Trump, which Enrique Tarrio, of course, didn't agree to, and then later was found guilty of seditious conspiracy and is currently facing a staggering 22-year sentence, even though he wasn't in Washington, D.C. during January 6th, as a lot of people expect him to potentially be pardoned by Donald Trump soon. As if you're Donald Trump, you understand that you were facing just 700 years in jail just a few months ago. You are a convicted felon, as we are finding out that the banana republic like DOJ and Department of Justice that, of course, clearly wasn't seeking justice here, they were seeking a scalp. That scalp was going to be Donald Trump, and overwhelmingly, it failed time in and time again, as this attorney general has some very serious questions to answer about the conduct of his organization at his helm, that he was ruling that clearly was doing anything and everything possible in order just to try to incarcerate Donald J. Trump, as of course a lot of the charges were usually dropped, but it shows you that these guys were willing to allegedly let off the leader of the J6 insurrection. They were willing to let off one of the most prolific child abusers in recorded history in order just to get Donald Trump. That right there is just absolute top-notch criminal behavior by a government that has gone completely rogue and out of control. As these people were offered sweetheart deals of a lifetime if they would just fabricate, if they would just lie, if they would just make up a story that the government could run with in order to implicate, smear, and destroy the reputation of the upcoming president of the United States. As of course, the New York Post also just released this audio with this prisoner, specifically detailing this larger, massive disclosure that absolutely deserves to be talked about far and wide. And if you agree, share this video with almost everyone you can to bring the point home that, hey, there needs to be some decisive actions here immediately. But before playing that audio, we wanted to remind you that we are an independent media organization that is financed by you. As of course, we just started to do exclusive podcast live just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We did one last night with Zuby. That video only available for members right now on LukeUnfiltered.com. Members got the ability to chat live during the show. We were answering your chats. Members got the ability to call in to the show. And we're going to be doing other members-only shows this upcoming week, specifically on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Stay tuned for that and a lot more exclusively here on LukeUnfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. The link is down in the description below. You click on it right now, you go to the website, and you sign up for whatever you could financially afford. The lowest one, just 20 cents a day. If you've been thinking about doing this, this is the time to do this. We are directly under attack, especially by the IRS. We need your help. We need your support right now. Click on it. Just put in a little bit of information. You get emailed back a login. Make sure to check your spam. Emails have been going to spam for some reason, which is not freaking good. Double check your spam, get your email, log in, and you get thousands of videos, including a 2+ hour live podcast episode with Zuby with all the latest news happening just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We had a very unfortunate situation with another streaming company that we're trying to work out now that has cost me a lot of money that I don't have, as we're really trying to figure things out here. As of course, we've been calling out this Epstein story for a very long time. Even when the corporate media was promoting this man, we were calling it out. We've been an independent media organization talking about these larger government extortion programs for about 20+ years now. So if you want to see our work continue, support us directly on LukeUnfiltered.com. As of course, the audio recording that the New York Post just released highlights the importance of this larger situation that really needs to be driven home under a future Trump administration that should be making this priority number one, especially when it comes to dealing with some of the criminals that were aiding and abetting and trying to get off a prolific person that was known for abusing and hurting small children to the tune of thousands of them.
He got dressed, he was gone all day, came back later that night. Came in, he just climbed on the bunk, he didn't say a word. I was reading a book, it wasn't my business. And finally, he said, you were a cop, what do you know about proffers and cooperating? I told him, I said, Jeff, it's pretty simple. That the the prosecutors, they caught a fish, they're not going to let that fish off the hook unless you give them a bigger fish. He said, yeah, well, that's what they said. I said, what do you mean? He said, they told me to let me plead out to something small, and I'll do just a couple of years at a camp if I can give them something on Trump, get him impeached. And I said, well, do you know Trump? He says, well, I know him, I met him, but we don't like each other. I laughed. I said, why? He said, Trump threw me out of a party at his place in Florida. I said, why did he throw you out? He said, oh, he got mad. I was talking to some girl. And by now I got wind of, what he was in there for. So I said, well, how old was the girl, Jeff? He said, oh, about 18, 19. So I was a cop. I said, Jeff, that means probably 14, 15. He said, well, he threw me out, and, I haven't talked to him since, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, I don't know anything. So, okay. He says, but the government told me I don't have to prove what I say about Trump as long as Trump's people can't disprove it. I said, yes. I said, he's the president of the United States. His people are the FBI. He said, that's what I said. And they said, no. The FBI's
As we have to remember, the Attorney General at that time was Bill Barr, that oversaw this entire operation and this larger plea deal under the Department of Justice, that also personally investigated what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, made a lot of public statements about it that were absolute lies, as he came out and said that he saw an alleged videotape footage of the incident that, of course, no one has ever seen, that now has been allegedly deleted, doesn't exist, as he was not only leading the investigation, but also had extensive ties, especially with his father, to Jeffrey Epstein, that gave Jeffrey Epstein his start at the Dalton School. As his father gave Epstein his start. As Time magazine was even talking about how Bill Barr needed to recuse himself and was the wrong person to lead this investigation, since, of course, he had extensive ties to a man that he helped cover up the demise of. As it's pretty clear here, Donald Trump's appointee as Attorney General, Bill Barr, literally tried to frame him. I don't know about you, but this should be the top headline news story of the week, the month, as this is groundbreaking, major news. As, of course, Merrick Garland should have released this information to the general public, should have cleaned shop, should have held the previous Attorney General accountable for this larger kind of egregious actions that he made. As, of course, they just followed in their footsteps, trying to do the same thing with, of course, Enrique Tarrio. As another person implicated with Mr. Epstein right now is trying to cozy up to Donald Trump, as Bill Gates now has talked about his surprising takeaways from his very intimate dinner that he had with Donald Trump, as, of course, the statements that he made specifically about this 3+ hour dinner discussing global health should be put on the backdrop of also this being the man that privately donated tens of millions of dollars to Kamala Harris, and allegedly, according to a lot of reports, is the person trying to prevent the release of the Jeffrey Epstein client list. As, of course, he's on it. His own wife came out and said that she had to divorce him because he wouldn't stop hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, who everyone knew was a prolific child herder. As Bill Gates says that he was frankly impressed with Donald Trump, and he's very optimistic about his future relationship with him. As, of course, why is Donald Trump even bringing these people into his circle? Why is he even placating them? As larger questions still remain to if Donald Trump will keep his promise and will release the Jeffrey Epstein client list, as, of course, now more than ever, he needs to. As the people implicated with trying to control, sway, and manipulate Epstein and the larger kind of compromise that he had on everyone else needs to be exposed, as, of course, they represent a danger not just to, of course, Donald Trump, but to the people of the United States, as it's pretty clear these people were acting outside of the law. They have hijacked our institutions, and unless they are ever held accountable, they will keep raining down terror on the people that, of course, they extort for their own personal benefit. As this is an extremely important story that I hope we all pay close attention to, and that's why, again, get this video out there, share it with your friends and family members. It's more important than ever, as this story is wild, this story is crazy, and of course, we're going to be doing our best to follow up on it as closely as we can, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechanged. Stay tuned for more.